Hey, I'm Herald sports writer Manny Navarro.
I'm Fernandez.
It's time to pick those state championship games on the Gridiron Report. All right, Dre, so let's start off with the first game, 5A, Plantation American Heritage taking on Tallahassee Godby, a team that won the state title 2 years ago. Heritage coming off a squeaky win, and I was gonna say a squeaker, but a squeaky win over Orlando Bishop Moore, 20-17 on a late field goal. How do you see this game shaping up?
I see it being potentially close again because of Godby. Well, Godby has 5 Division I commits on that team. They have a solid quarterback that's thrown for over, well, not thrown, he's had 2,500 all-purpose yards. Shows you he's another dual threat guy, probably similar to Gibson in a way. But Torrance, you talk about that offense, what he brings to the table, he elevates that team. We saw it early in the season against Miramar throughout the year. And I think, like I said in the other segment, these guys have had their wake-up call now. They were maybe there was a bit of a letdown against Bishop Moore, a little bit of lack of focus because after you win comfortably for 3 weeks in a row, maybe that develops. But in this game, I don't see that happening.
Here's the X factor in my mind. Keyshawn Bryan, we haven't mentioned him yet. He's a sophomore running back. He's only got 600 yards rushing, but the last 2 weeks he's run for over 300 yards.
Only 6?
Yeah, only 600 yards total.
Did he have
season.
like 200 of that against Miramar?
He messed up his ankle. He had
Oh, that's why.
Yes, and here's another thing. He's only had 2 games where he's had double-digit attempts and carries. Last week he had a season high 31 carries for over 200 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but the offense was humming because of him.
I think this is going to be another game where he has double-digit carries because they're going to need that balance of Gibson making plays, him bursting big runs.
I'm a little worried. Though, and I'll tell you what, I think Heritage is going to pull this out, but I think it's going to be really scary. I think Godby's going to have him on the ropes, and it's going to come down to can Torrance Gibson and that offense and the passing game create the big play, because they sort of live and die off of that big play in the passing game. Gibson's completing less than 50% of his passes this season. So that's a little worrisome to me.
They got to come in early, hit a couple home runs, and bury them. Obviously, like you said, it ain't going to be anywhere close to what it was last year as far as just rolling them.
It will not be a 66-8 final, but Heritage is going to find a way to win.
They need to start fast.
Yeah. All right. The 7A game right here, St. Thomas Aquinas, they're taking on Kissimmee Osceola. Of the 4 games involving Dayton Broward teams, this is the one I'm really not worried about. Osceola, they lost in the state semifinals 2 years in a row, finally get there this time, beat Niceville with a big win last week. But I think they're no match for this Aquinas team.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen great ones throughout the years here at this school, but this is definitely, like Coach Casulo said, I mean, it belongs, assuming they do take care of business, it belongs
in the discussion
to be listed among the greats that this school has ever had.
They've never had a defense like this, not this dominant. I mean, 7 shutouts, the starting unit. I mean, there's games that they've been out in the second quarter this year where they've been out of the game because it's been such a lopsided blowout.
I feel lucky. I watched probably the 2 most competitive games they had. One on TV when they lost to Don Bosco, and then the next week, that Miramar game changed the whole season. It really did, because they were reeling coming off that road trip. They needed something, and in the second half, when they blocked those 2 punts, turned those into scores, and I'm telling you, outside of a state championship celebration, I have never seen this team as fired up as it was that day.
They had lost how many in a row to Miramar?
They knew they had turned the corner right there.
Yeah. All right, so we both got Aquinas pretty much handling Osceola. Osceola's a nice team, but just talent-wise, they're not there. Yeah. Let's look at the Saturday afternoon game. This one, you look at it on paper, Central's taking on Armwood, an Armwood team that's, I guess, unbeaten. Armwood's only given up 52 points all season on defense. They've got 9 shutouts. But you look at a little bit closer at who those opponents are, they've faced no one nearly as good as Central has.
No, and I think, you know what, Coach Callahan, Sean Callahan at Armwood, he's been there. He's a veteran up there. He's gone through the battles, first with Booker T, now Central. He knows about Dade County football, and he's the first one that'll say, and he did say when we talked to them on Monday, that this is a whole different animal than what they have faced. But they're familiar with this animal because they faced them last year.
Right. Dalvin Cook toasted him with his gold shoes.
He really did. And you know what he said? And you know what Coach Callahan said when he saw the film? He saw number 4 running wild, and he was like, "Oh no,
he's back!
Please tell me he didn't come back."
Apparently, he hasn't been watching FSU football this year.
No, but he knows obviously that, like we said earlier, Jones. Maybe he doesn't have that elite speed that Dalvin does, but he's very good. He's going to be a big kid. A big kid's going to have a good career at the next level. FIU, he has a commitment to FIU right now. If the Panthers get him.
Miami offered him, by the way.
Miami did offer him too. It's a battle. It's a bidding war. If the Panthers get him, though, I think it's a very good pickup for them going into the future because I like this kid a lot. I think he's come on strong late in the year. He doesn't have the numbers that his teammate Miller has, but I think you're going to see him have a big day in Orlando.
Byron Cowart, is it, the defensive end for Armwood? They've got some talent. I mean, this is the #1 defensive end in the country that plays for Armwood. But so it'll be a tough challenge for the offensive line, I think, for Central. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it'll be a tough challenge for Armwood's O-line, most definitely, because that's where Coach Callahan, I remember, said where they felt that they were beat right from the start last year. That team was young. The offensive line was not ready to handle that last year. They're going to have their hands full this season. He feels like they're a little more, with a year's experience, a little more, prepared to face that. But still, that's where Central can win this game like they've done all year.
I think it's going to be a lot like the Hollandale game. I think Armwood could come out, maybe take an early lead, but I see Central just being too much for them. Yeah. This is a team that's been to state now 5 years in a row. Yeah. Credit to the Rockets and the job that they've done. All right, we're both picking Central. The last game of the night, to me, this is the most intriguing game of them all, kind of like last year. Apopka, third year in a row they get to state. They're taking on Columbus this time, who hasn't been to state since 1982. I know the fan base for the Explorers is really excited. Yeah. How do you see this game?
Well, I see Justin shaking his head yes. So, I mean, as one former Explorer that's excited right now on this set. But no, it's gonna be a fun game, not just on the field, but I think even that pregame, because Apopka packs the Citrus Bowl. Yeah, they fill up a lower bowl, some of the top, but don't underestimate how much Columbus is going to take too, because it's not just the parents. They're going to have a lot of alumni go. Yeah. I mean, I'm already hearing some of the famous names, but apparently I've been in contact. We'll see who shows up actually.
Some Shulas, maybe some Gracie's.
Maybe some Highsmiths. I don't know. There's been talk, but we'll see. We'll see who shows up. But as far as the game itself.
Will the team show up is the question.
And that's where it is. And they have been throughout this season. And the defense, it's up to them. They're facing an Apopka offensive line, that single wing. Martez Ivy is a monster. I haven't heard one person
#1 offensive tackle in the country, according to Rivals.com.
Yeah, the analysts, everybody, opposing coaches, everyone has said you have to somehow find a way to beat these guys with this kid destroying defensive linemen. Yeah. But they've done well throughout the season. They have faced monster lines in the past this season. They faced Central. I mean, overall, though, one thing Cypress Bay did and one thing South Day did last year, put up a ton of points. And I think as much as we like to say that the defensive line, like I just did, is going to be a key, their offense is going to be a key.
And Tucker Byrne, to me, this comes down to Tucker Byrne, Jerron Rollins, and Austin Maloney. That passing game, you look back at how South Dade won last year. Khalil Render threw 5 touchdown passes, and then the defense came up with 3 turnovers. It's got to be, to me, that same type of winning formula for Columbus this weekend for them to win.
The pass defense has been susceptible. From what I hear, it still is. They also have to try and run the football. Let's not forget. Balance is important against whoever you're playing. Ivan Smith, Andres Fernandez, they got to get those guys.
Tucker Byrne himself.
Even just being smart, roll them out of the pocket, make the right decision.
One thing Columbus has been all season has been balanced on offense. You look at the numbers, the averages. I think they're averaging 160 yards passing. I want to say 152 rushing.
It's a big key why they're still playing.
Right.
For sure.
So I think Columbus is the one team I'm scared about winning from South Florida anyway, if they can pull it off. But I'm going to pick the Explorers to do it because I think and Chris Merritt, to me, any of the coaches here, all of them are great coaches that have gotten their teams to this round. But the one coach, this is not necessarily his most talented team. He's had more talented teams at Columbus in terms of FBS caliber recruits. So
yeah, we saw them in the late 2000s when they would run in the Northwestern.
Right. I mean, those teams were pretty loaded as well. And the 2 that lost in the semifinals, 2 of the last 3 years, those teams had more FBS caliber kids. So to me, it comes down to credit of Coach Merritt, his coaching staff, and the guys that he has there doing a great job getting these kids to play together. So credit to them.
I'm sticking with them because I think this is their moment, and they found the way so far against a lot of talented teams. Why not do it one last time in the Citrus Bowl?
And besides, they got to get Melissa Arteaga a victory on a week that she's given birth.
Yeah,
our friend Melissa Arteaga, whose husband, Pedro Martínez, the defensive line coach at Columbus. Big week for them. Having baby number 2 and now maybe championship number 1.
That would be the right formula, the winning formula for Columbus Explorers.
All right, that does it for the Gridiron Report.
See you guys.